Hello and welcome to OH3 SPN Finland. Now, it was only when I was shooting the previous video, or one of the previous videos, that I realised I was using this little gadget, and it's probably worth making a quick video on this itself. This is a component tester from China, based on an open source design, I believe, and I use it regularly. In fact, I use it so often that it would be worthwhile. I could easily justify spending many times the amount of money that this cost on a better analyzer, a better tester. But to be honest, this does such a good job, I've had no reason to. They do have problems. They have, on some components, especially inductors and things like that, they can be very vague. On some very small values, they can have difficulty measuring. There's an interesting document online which I'll try and find, or an interesting discussion where the original designer, I think, did this for a university project. He admits there's major shortcomings in the design, but even so, they work really well. If I can find that discussion, I will put a link in the information down below. But just to show how this works, I'll go for a component which I think I took out of the remote control in a previous video. It's what I thought was a failing capacitor. If we just put it in, oops, but I'll put in the capacitor. Helps if I attach a battery. Battery now attached. We hit the test button and it says it's decided it's a capacitor. It says 10 microfarad, loss of 0.6% and an ESR of 1.5. All these values are pretty good. It's in fact better than the reading I got when I tried the other day. It is a 10 UF capacitor, 10 microfarad capacitor, and I ended up replacing the capacitor in the remote. It still didn't fix it, so the ESR on this is actually a good reading. If we try some other components, I have one here which is maybe a little bit trickier. This should be an inductor. I'm not sure of the value. This came from a Pixie transceiver kit, which I have yet to build. Let's see what it makes of this. It's decided it is an inductor, 0.08 microhenry, and an effective resistance of 1.4 ohms. So I don't know if that is correct, but I'm pretty confident it is, based on my previous experience with this tester. I have a transistor here. Now, this came out of a linear amplifier, which failed. It was a Chinese kit. It survived a lot of abuse, to be honest. At one point, my antenna fell down, and it was dumping power into this for a couple of hours before I noticed. And this is the result. One of the output transistors. It does read it. Actually, that's interesting. I thought before it read this as a diode or something because of the failure, but in this case it seems to be reading it correctly. I shall try this again. Okay. So perhaps in that case it isn't faulty. I need to check that. But generally you can see it gives you the component, it gives you the estimated, which seems to be really reasonably accurate, values of the component and the gain and things like that. And the diagram of the component as well, telling you which pin. The inputs here are numbered on the socket, so it tells you which pin is which. And I have another capacitor here. Capacitor, 2,300 microfarad. And what is it? 2,200 microfarad. So I mean, it's reasonably accurate. Accurate enough for component identification and testing, really. Finally, let's just try a resistor. Again, this came from the linear amplifier, where I needed to match the input section a little bit better. 15 ohms, which is absolutely spot on. So, yes, what more can I say? For the cost, I mean, these things, they're peanuts from China. In some cases, like 10 euros including delivery. And for what they are, they're an incredible bit of, I think, Arduino-powered technology. So there is a connector on the side where you can connect wires. Rather than using the zero insertion force connector on the front, you can connect wires to components or to test points on a PCB. So an incredible bit of technology, an incredible test tool for really no money at all. So definitely worthwhile having this in the shack, and you'll probably end up using it as often as I do. And it saved me spending a lot more money on more expensive equipment that, to be honest, for most of my work, I just don't need. So this has been a very short video, but hopefully useful. As always, if you have any ideas or suggestions, leave a comment. I look forward to hearing from you. So 73s for now, from Steve, OH3 SPN.